Am I wrong for kicking my sister-in-law out for making my drunk husband feel like shit? My sister-in-law, her husband, and her kid 14 are staying with me and my husband for the next week. This is because there's a family funeral and all hotels were booked out for the Bluegrass Fest and Kane Brown concert. We have a big farmhouse, so it's really not a big deal, but my sister-in-law is very opinionated. My sister-in-law and my husband have different fathers, and her dad died from liver failure 10 years ago. He was a massive alcoholic, so my sister-in-law turns into a witch whenever she sees anyone drinking. Well, my husband, who's not a big drinker, went out with his friends last night as a kind of hoorah because we will be welcoming our first daughter into this world in about a month. He just wanted to celebrate his becoming of a dad, and I encouraged him to go. I arranged for his Uber back home, and he came in about 11 p.m. last night, very drunk. He walked in the door singing Let's Stay Together and dancing, spinning me around the living room. And he was doing some very sloppy waltz. Am I wrong for kicking my sister-in-law out for making my drunk husband feel like shit? He was singing Let's Stay Together and spinning me around in the living room in some very sloppy waltz and laughing the whole time, tripping over himself. Now, my dad is an alcoholic too, so I get it, but honestly, I was having a blast with my husband. Sister-in-law comes into the room and just starts laying into my husband about him drinking. She starts screaming, saying he's gonna turn out just like dad, and at this point, my husband's mood is dead and he's crying. I lost it. I told her, how can he turn out like a POS when that POS isn't his father? Get out of my house right now and don't ever come back. She went immediately quiet and said she couldn't take her daughter out at this time of night and that no hotels had vacancy and my husband knew better than to drink. At least around her, but I told her that's not my problem. Now the whole family is pissed at me and my husband right now for both him drinking in front of sister-in-law and me kicking them out at midnight. By the way, I never said her daughter or husband had to leave, just her.
My wife was sued and I don't know how to move past it. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My wife was recently sued. She lost and we had to pay. The money is a significant amount for us. We didn't have much in savings or our emergency fund to begin with, and both of those accounts are now empty. My current problem is trying to move past the resentment and anger I feel towards my wife. Until now, I've always felt like we had a partnership in our marriage. But since I'm the breadwinner, I can't help but feel I am putting my money into something that isn't my fault. I've had no problem paying the mortgage and taking care of various financial burdens that come with being married. However, I have been the only one to put money aside in our savings and other accounts to prepare for an emergency, like a totaled car, someone loses a job, medical bills, or an act of God, not a stupid lawsuit where I know my wife is guilty. She has a part-time job and doesn't make much money, but pays for smaller things when she can, like groceries and some bills, but she does take care of a lot of the cooking, cleaning, and caring for our pets. She used LinkedIn to find her former ex-best friend and ended up creating a realistic-looking fake LinkedIn profile with a vague occupation of recruiter. My wife ended up sending her ex-best friend, Laura, a few messages pretending to be a recruiter in her line of work. Laura finally responded thinking this recruiter was real. My wife wanted her phone number, but Laura gave her a personal email address instead. My wife created a second fake LinkedIn profile and started sending messages to people with similar titles as Laura at her company. These messages said derogatory things about Laura. A mixture of truthful things but embarrassing and just fabricated BS to make Laura look bad. Her manager got one of these messages that claimed that Laura was a heavy drug user. Laura's manager talked to her about these messages, and he felt like these messages were bizarre and seemed like someone was trying to troll or harass Laura. Well, Laura's team had her back, and they helped her save these messages. Not only that, but Laura requested that she be drug tested anyways to prove further evidence that she was clean. My wife didn't know this, but at this point, Laura is pregnant. Several of her coworkers, including her manager, testified on Laura's behalf. Using the personal email address she got from the fake recruiter profile, she was able to find a few social media platforms Laura was on, and she was able to figure out her husband's name. She did some more internet sleuthing and found Laura's husband on Facebook. My wife sent him an email claiming that Laura was cheating on him. The husband confronted Laura about the email, and Laura encouraged him to keep responding to this person and save the messages, as well as to start asking specific questions about this supposed affair. My wife thought she was being clever and ended up telling her husband that Laura was cheating on him during the work week. She even gave him specific dates. What she didn't realize was that Laura had something turned on in Google Maps where it keeps years worth of historical GPS data. Some of the dates my wife gave also happened to be days where they worked from home together. She also ended up giving him dates and a time where they were on vacation together. Laura had her husband keep responding as much as possible to my wife. My wife was able to find out where and when the baby shower was going to be. She decided to show up unannounced to the baby shower. She didn't make herself known immediately. Instead, she looked for patrons that were entering and exiting the rented room. She was able to get the attention of a few guests that had never met her and try to gossip about Laura. My wife was telling people that Laura didn't actually know who the father was, among other things. This was at an event where her husband was as well. Word got back around to Laura, where she spotted my wife and apparently put all the pieces together. My wife didn't think to mask her IP address, so it was pretty easy to figure out that it was ours. Laura and her husband decided to hire a lawyer to sue my wife. My wife has never done anything crazy before. I knew she could be a little petty and jealous of others, especially people she used to be friends with in the past, but it was always all talk, no action. We've had a very happy marriage, but she really messed up this time. I don't know how to move forward. We're pretty screwed financially for a while. My best friend's mistress doesn't know he's actually broke. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My 41 male best friend Jack, 41 male since kindergarten, cheated on his wife Anna, 39 female, with a girl half his age, Max, 25 female. Anna is one of the best human beings that I've ever met. She's very beautiful, kind, and caring. She is very successful too. When Jack met her, he was so in love, he wrote an ironclad prenup just to be with her. In other words, Jack has nothing to his name. He met Max on a work trip, and it was then that he cheated on Anna. The affair lasted for 2 months until Max made an ultimatum: leave his wife for her. Jack refused and tried to end the affair with Max, so Max told Anna everything. This broke Anna beyond repair, and she told Jack that she just couldn't forgive him. They're in the process of divorcing now, and Jack lives in a small studio apartment near his work. After Jack lost hope of reconciliation with Anna, he started seeing Max again. Now they're officially dating. My wife, Pat, 32 female, knows all of the details. She is a more forgiving and understanding person than I am, and I love that about her. She is way more tolerant because I am Team Anna, and there's nothing Jack can say that'll make me change my opinion. Now everything is settled, and my wife said that she wanted to invite Jack and his new girlfriend to our place. I was very reluctant at first, but my wife insisted that my friendship with Jack is more important. We are basically brothers, and we should accept people we love even with their flaws. It made sense, and I trust my wife to always make sense. The dinner was awkward. I couldn't see past the two cheaters, Jack pretending to be happy with Max, and Max overly excited that she had won. I understood then that things won't be the same, but my wife is right. I love Jack, and what's most important is that. Max talked about her upbringing and the hard life she had growing up. She talked about her future with Jack and all of the fun that they would have. It dawned on me that she didn't know that they couldn't do half of what she was dreaming of with Jack's salary. I realized why she had chosen him, and why she was so willing to hurt an innocent woman that way. She had learned to know the Jack who lived in fancy hotels and drove a fancy car. When I asked Max about their living arrangements, Max said that Jack's temporarily living in a studio apartment until the divorce is settled. Max talked about what she would do to their place, the renovations, redecoration, the apartment that Anna bought for her family with her hard-earned money, the one she decorated with her husband from scratch to make it their home. I remembered how happy and full of dreams she was when she found their dream home. To hear Max sitting there talking about how she could use the money she never earned to redecorate a home that she wasn't entitled to, making fun of another woman's taste and style, it brought tears to my eyes. Yes, men can get emotional too. Jack has not told Max the truth. When they left, Pat and I started discussing our dear friends. I was very surprised when Pat angrily told me that I was cruel and callous for not wanting to enlighten Max about her new situation. My wife thought Max had a tough enough life and she deserved to have a good life now. I told my wife that I will not tell Max anything, but if she wanted to, she could be my guest. Anna was a great friend to my wife, but my wife doesn't seem to give a rat's ass about her.
I, 28 female, think my husband, 33 male, might have only married me to take care of him and his kids. I met my now husband when I was 26. We dated for a year before getting engaged, 4-month engagement, and marrying. He told me he had kids on our first date, which I was a little nervous about as I'm child-free. As we got closer and more serious, I wasn't too worried about the kids as he did a really good job parenting them and being responsible. He also told me that he didn't have papers, which didn't bother me because I personally think the whole US immigration system is f***ed up, and I've known many people who spent years getting their papers situated. Anyway, everything went really well while we were dating. We took excellent care of the kids, cooked so I would have dinner after school and work. I'm in grad school and at the time worked a part-time job, kept his house clean, the whole 9 yards. We also went on dates frequently. He would buy me flowers, get me wine or drinks, listen to my rants and excited stories about grad school, pay attention to my likes, and agree whenever I'd say my cat or snake were so cute. However, things started to change after we got married and I moved in. I quit my part-time job since we could live on his salary and my assistantship salary. He wanted to start a business, so I ended up starting the business in my name given his citizenship status. I ended up doing most of the work to get the paperwork going, which I brushed off a bit because of all the personal information, like social security number and whatnot. And since I quit my part-time job, I now do all of the administrative work for his business, like tax prep, payroll, sending invoices, paying services, etc. So essentially, I quit my part-time job and gained another one. The longer we've been married, the more things seem to be going in a different direction. Now he throws a fit if I ask for help cleaning the house or other inside chores, claiming he works so hard during the day and does some yard work. I always remind him that I work too and always help with the outside outside chores. He always gets silent, but nothing ever changes. He stopped taking me on dates unless I specifically asked to go out. He stopped buying me flowers, wines, drinks, etc. He stopped cooking unless he doesn't want what I have cooked or we have family coming over. And worst of all, he stopped becoming the responsible parent that does things with and for his kids. Keep in mind that all of this has happened slowly over time and gotten exceptionally worse since we bought and moved into a house. I feel used. Plus, over time, he's acting more and more like he's entitled to my body, stating things like, I bought you, and, but we're married. Yuck. When I tell him those things are inappropriate, he always says he's joking, to which I say it's not funny. He also stopped caring about what I have to say. He doesn't listen to my rants or excitements anymore. When I say my cat or snake did something cute, he just says, it's just a cat, which is not what he used to do. Anyway, it feels like I'm being used and it just keeps getting worse. And there's a small chance I might be pregnant. I need to buy a new test, which further complicates the matter. Is he using me or is this just what it means to be a wife?